increasing the budget $250,000 and following what Mr. Larrabee and what Mr. Herenstein have said about raising our own money, it seems like we can raise some of these fees to cover a $250,000 increase. And I hate to say that, because my personal philosophy on public education is that it should be funded by the public and not turned into a quasi-private institution where the people who are actually using it are paying for the bulk of it. That's just my philosophical point of view about public education. However, if we need the money and it isn't going to come from anywhere else, just doing some quick numbers, there's a $2 per day increase for riding the bus, and that would represent a $139,000 increase. If we made that $1 a day increase, that'd be about $70,000.
$180 per family, per kid.
Right now it's $125.
It'd be $360.
It'd be $360.
It'd be $360
yeah,
at $2.
per kid.
That's too much.
Insanity.
Okay. The lunch increase, the suggestion here is to, if a 50-cent increase was imposed, it would be a $100,000 increase. If the sports went up to $250 per student per sport, that would be another $150,000. So I guess that's what we need to decide.
Yeah. I guess the thing here, again, you go back and look at is, and I'll restate it again, is that I'm okay with increasing it at $150,000. Is because last year when we increased the fees for sports, the extra money that those parents had to pay for their kids, it went directly to participate. Now, you can say if you get an additional program or you get new textbooks, or you get your high school or your school accredited, that's something that can be felt there. So, and then you potentially don't have to go across the board because and look at the true realization of what the impact would be with some of these fees. Because if you raise the bus fees and you raise the sports fees, it's really a double whammy, and it actually could become greater than a double whammy, because now you're looking at adding it to the middle school kids as well, who haven't had to pay in the past, and so that's a pretty significant chunk of change.
No question.
So I think I would be in favor of going forward, but only increasing it at 150 unless we were to identify additional services for the students that would make up that difference.
Mr. Sullivan?
Well, two things. I just want to add to my comment on walkaways from the budget subcommittee meeting. There is some areas that the town can rethink on the town side of the municipal budget. One being this line, if you will, of the snow and ice. We need to keep our roads safe. We all benefit from it. But we have an opportunity to create a payment plan and stretch it over 2 years. We don't anticipate next winter to be as strong as this winter. It's been one of the worst winters in 10 years. So I had requested that the subcommittee consider, and we look at 3 options, but my view is that the town can save some money this year by postponing the snow and ice budget till next year, a portion of it. I'm not suggesting hold off paying the $300,000 plus deficit, but if we hold back some of that, it can be managed into next year's budget, because I don't anticipate, and I'm not a meteorologist, but I don't anticipate as much need for snow and ice budget next year. That would save on the overall budget. So there is some savings, and that's the only one I mentioned, because it seems to be an easier budget to look at, and it doesn't have any persons involved, but it's a huge number. So I just report that out from last night's meeting. But in terms of cuts, I'll repeat my view. We made a drastic increase on sports and activities fees last year. I am happy to see that we were able to continue all the programs. There continued to be participation. I think it's very important to have these programs available. And by increasing fees, again, in any way, because it was a drastic item we addressed last year, we're going to start pushing the affordability of sports. And I think we have to leave it alone for this year. And in terms of transportation, I believe that we can reap some savings from our transportation budget because we have the advantage of being able to renegotiate a contract this year, reduce the miles, perhaps centralized pickups, and hopefully save 10% off that line item. So there is some areas. My suggestion, I don't see that we can, and I don't know as far as process, are we looking to approve a budget tonight or give you some recommendations, because we won't have the final copy till...
I believe the Finance Committee would like at least a number to begin to work with. And that's why I suggested the 14,960 plus 250.
Okay. And I...
Now, where we go with, the 250, that is open to discussion from now till September, I guess.
And my last statement is to reiterate, give them something to work with. I think we have to stand up for the students of Westport and create a budget that meets the needs. And I'm concerned about the letter that you presented to review where you feel you stand, is that improvements expected from our efforts are limited because of the resources, and as it stands, increasing class size are currently affecting students' performance, and at best we're hoping for status quo of student performance areas through this year, and that's not what I signed up for. I signed up for what I'm hearing from the chairman, that we have an obligation to make improvements. I'm very excited to hear the dropout rate has been reduced at the high school. That was one of my main priorities to focus on, and congratulations on our having reached that plateau. But it's no time to turn back now. We have to create some new strategies, and we're continuing to do that. But we have to focus on improving. Otherwise, we have some classes that, if I believe, are still in a possibility of not meeting annual yearly improvement. Is that certain grades? So what we're saying with the budget that we're looking at here is that the status quo of not meeting annual yearly improvement is okay. I can't vote for that. So we need to come up with a budget, although it might not be, we have to come up with some fixes, but I don't know if we could fix the whole gap in our needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lambert?
I think we're pretty much all in favor of not raising any fees, keeping all the sports and all of that. Mr. Harenstein was correct. I think if we come up with a budget of $150,000 over that 14.9, I think it's where we want to be. We're going to improve. And if we need to go to the town and ask for more money, the pie's cut differently. We need just to go fight for our slice of the pie. And I'd like to at least formulate some type of motion to have